Okay, so we're back to Rambam Bekius after a couple of weeks break. So we've been in chapter 5 and about chavurah, and I mentioned this throughout, but basically, we've had in the numbers, we've had 9 halachos so far. The last one that we did was halacha tes, and the Rambam has not yet clarified who we're talking about. So up until now, then we kind of assume that you're talking about like any Rav, which he has not defined yet, which I guess minimal definition is someone who taught you something. Okay, but only now in halacha tes paragraph bays does he qualify seemingly everything. Okay, so he says like this. So this is a tes paragraph 2 at the top of the page on my edition. But me devar amurim. To what case is this referring? Now, you would think that he's talking just about this last halacha, which was if you see your Rav violate divrei Torah, and then mentioning things in your Rav's name, and then when your Rav dies, you tear kria. So you would think Bamei Devar Amurim usually just goes on the previous thing. Here, though, he says Bamei Devar Amurim Rav Muvhak, with his Rav Muvhak. Now, I always forget what the literal translation of Muvhak is. I think it is prominent. Let me show you the dictionary. I think it's related. I think it's biblical shoresh, assuming this comes from the biblical shoresh, is like bohak, like the taras type thing. But I don't know for sure. I might be making that up. Let's see. Muvhak, or maybe distinguished is the literal translation. Let's see. Move. Yeah.
Like this is the sort of traditional thought I think about, like just looking at the shoresh just after shiur, it was just like. It was like midway through after she was like, a lot of it I could, like just in retrospect, like thinking through the word marasai. If I actually stopped to think about the word, I realized that I should have looked at the word in more detail. That's just like a lot of the stuff this year.
Yeah. That's the funny thing about words is because on the one hand, the Rambam is going to define it, but on the other hand, he might be presupposing you know what the basic word means.
It'd be like to say shiur was nothing. It's more just say. Yeah, it's probably, I guess, agreement that's a good thing to look back at the show, right?
Right. So let me just look it up here. Let me share the whole screen. Hold on. I always forget to share the whole screen. So the little green dictionary, the Zoberman says, hey, Chaim, the Zoberman says that Muvhak literally means, where are we? I just lost it. Muvhak literally means, I just lost it. Oh, clear, obvious, or thorough. Okay. And again, I have no idea whether that's related to what I'm about to look at. Bohak, which is like what I would guess the shoresh is, if there is a shoresh in biblical thing. Let's see what all Torah says. Waiting for it. Still waiting. Wow, long time. Are we going to be waiting forever? Let me see if it works with another word. Ra'ah, which you would think would take longer.
Is it still looking for bohak?
Yeah, I was still looking for bohak. I think it's I wonder if it's a site-wide delay or an internet thing. I don't know. All right, fine. All right, we'll come back to it, I guess, and see if it. Oh wait, nope. We'll come back to it and see if it says anything. All right. Anyway, so did you? What do you think Muvhak means? Like, how do you translate it in your mind? I know Rav Muvhak is like your main Rav. Do you know what the word Muvhak means?
What did they try to say?
Clear, thorough, or obvious. You could look at Jastro, even though it's a Hebrew word. Yeah. You have any idea?
Do we have any good biblical dictionaries?
Good question. Right. So I think the Alkali has biblical also, like among, I think it says, but I don't remember.
Maybe say like clarifying, Rob.
Oh, that could be. Yeah, meaning that he provides clarity to you. Yeah. Although I wonder if the connotation of clarity. Of clear in English and Hebrew are the same here. Let's see. Hold on. Muvhak, not Moab. Move. I don't know if it's even going to be in the Joshua because it's Hebrew. No, it doesn't have it here. All right. I don't know. And did all Torah get it yet? Nope. So I don't know if all Torah is glitching. Yeah. Is that the alkali? Here. Let me just pause the recording and then I'll take a look also.
I see.
Okay. So this dictionary, this is the Dagut dictionary.
Does that count as a source?
Nah. Bohak. So bohak is shine or glitter, and that's why the Sarah's definition comes from like a bright one or something. I don't know. All right, fine. So brilliant Rav maybe would be the closest thing in English. I don't know. Let's see what other Rambam finds.
Shines. Isn't like
I guess, yeah,
like
yeah. But I don't. The thing is, I don't know what move like the weird conjugation Muvhak is. I gotta ask my word people. Yeah,
a causer of shining.
that would be Mavhik, right?
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know, but my intuition says that. Okay, let's see. Let's see what it is. Rav Muvhak. So this is all about your Rav Muvhak. Shalaman mimenu rov chachmaso, from whom he learned the majority of his wisdom. That's the problematically ambiguous phrase, right? Aval, but im lo lama mimenu rov chachmaso, if he did not learn from him the majority, or sorry, I think I said this at the end of last time. Rov might not mean majority; it might mean like a multitude of, right? Because rov could either mean majority or it can mean a lot of. Okay. Here it does sound like majority though, but let's see. So then harizeh talmid chaver. So if you did not learn the majority of your chachma from him, then he is considered a talmid chaver, a fellow talmid or a talmid peer. Okay, and here's where he throws us the curveball. The eno chayav bichvodo b'chol hadavarim ha'elu, and you're not obligated in his kavod in all these things. Okay. So now that's not just the stuff in halakha test, that's all of the things above. Okay. And if you're in doubt, he clarifies it and says, if all omed milafanav, but he stands before him, the kria alav kishem shu kria al kol hamesim shumis abal alehin, and he tears kria when the person dies on them in the same way that he tears kria on all mesim who he mourns for. So it is interesting, right? So in other words, with the Rav Muvhak, he had said, which is the same way you tear kria for your parents. Mm-hmm. But this is then for Shar Krovim. Yeah. Let's look at the Makbili footnote on the left. So with other mason, you don't reveal your heart. You just tear a tefach in your outer garment. And that is only when the talmid is also a chacham. But when the talmid is not a chacham, sarich likroa al rabo Kumo al aviv al ima. Wait, I misunderstood that when I was reading it. Muduber b'shehatalmid gam hu chacham, aval im hatalmid eno chacham sarech likroa al rabo.
Wait, actually, the question.
Hold on, just a minute. I want to get this. What does he mean?
He's not a talmid chaver. If he's no talmid.
You keep getting cut off, Isaiah.
Oh, like he won't be a talmid chaver with this guy if he's not a chacham. Also, like if he's still like a kid, right, or an issue.
That's what I thought he said. But then when he says aval im hatalmid eno chacham, sarkli kra al rabo kmo al aviv. That's just
if you're not a talmid chacham.
That's what. Yeah, if you're not a talmid chacham, but even if you are a talmid chacham, then you would tear on your rav the way you do on your father and mother. Yeah,
I think he's saying. Yeah. If you're not a talmid chacham, you tear on any Rav who taught you anything, not just Rav Muvhak.
Uh-huh. And I guess if you're not a talmid chacham, you're still below him.
Let's actually read this next paragraph because this next paragraph might shed light on. Afilu lo lama mimena ela davar echad. Even if you only learned one thing from him, bein katan bein gadol. Whether assume this is a davar katan or a davar gadol, not whether he is a katan or a gadol. Omid milafanav v'korei alav. Then he stands in his presence and then tears kria on him. Yeah, and then we'll finish the paragraph. V'chol talmid chachamim shedeosav mechuvanos. Any talmid chachamim whose deos are like oriented properly. Makbili says deosav mechuvanos midosav. So it's deos in the sense of hilchos deos midos. Move on amok yoser. Tefisuso nechonus v'yasharos. We will move on, meaning, and in his intellectual matters, amok yoser, he's deeper, and his grasps are good and upright. I don't know what that means. So then what happens? He should not speak in front of someone who is greater in chachma than him, even though he didn't learn anything from him. Okay, we'll set that aside for a second and now go back here. Yeah.
Sure. This is Rav Muvhak show Rav Chachma. So could it be that there are many people who wrote Rav Muvhaks, and then of those people, you choose the one who learned Rav Chachma from?
I don't think so, because it sounds like he's defining Rav Muvhak as the Rav Muvhak, and then the definition of that is Shalom min Rav Chachmaso. And then aval im lo laman min Rav Chachmaso, then in brackets, I mean, Eno Rav Muvhak Ella Harizeh Talmud Chaver. That's how I think it's understood. Let's look at the halachos in Avel. Just I think that's what he's gonna, which we did briefly last time. Okay, so Avel. Let's start off with Ches Beis. Okay, let's see here. Avel Ches Beis. Okay. Okay, so kama shiur hakera. Hold on, is this correct? Yeah, okay, fine. So how much do you have to tear? Oh, so that's actually, hold on, that's not the one that we want. No, that's not the one. We want tes yud aleph. Sorry, tes yud aleph. Tes yud aleph. Yeah. Kol mi she'amad im hameis b'shas yitzias nishmaso. Anyone who is present with the mace at the time when his soul departs, chayv likra, is obligated to tear. Afal pi she'eno krovo, even though he's not his relative. V'chein adam kasher shemeis, so too with how do you translate adam kasher? A decent man, right? Who died. Hakol chayavim likra alav. Everyone is obligated to tear for him. Even though he's not a chacham, and he tears a tefach like the other mourners. We're on tes yud aleph, not ches anymore.
What?
Tes yud aleph.
Wait, what perek?
Tes 9.
Oh, perek test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aval chacham shemes, but if a chacham dies, hakol krovav. Oh, so that's really interesting. Also, I didn't know that.
We just said.
The first category, right? Even though he's not a chacham, right? But then he says, everyone is considered to be his relative. Okay, so that's interesting. So all right, now I'm confused with this in Talmud Torah, but we'll finish reading. So then, with a regular chacham, you tear until you reveal your heart, meaning not just the outer garment, but even the inner garment. The choltzin miyamin, and you like unsheathe your arm with the right. Beis midrash oso chacham batil kol shiva, and the beis midrash of that chacham abstains from learning or from activity, I guess, for all 7 days. But the talmidei chachamim in every place have already become accustomed likroa zeh al zeh tefach, to tear a tefach for each other, afal pi she'ein shavin, even though they are equals. Ve'ein echad mehem melamed es chavurah, and none of them taught his friend. Okay, this is getting more confusing, right? So I get the okay. So the first thing was a regular person. If you're present, you tear regularly. Okay. That would just be a tefach. Then adam kasher, then you tear a tefach as well, even though he's not a chacham. Then a chacham, you tear until you reveal your heart, and you take out your right arm. But then, how does this last minhag qualify things? Makes it sound like the minhag is to reduce the tear, right? Mm-hmm. That they only tear a tefach, unless it's a tefach over your heart. But that's is not on Talmud Chaver. Right. So are you saying this first? So you're saying okay. So you're saying so are you saying that this first chacham that he mentioned is someone who is melamed?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird he doesn't say that though. Right. You're saying kol krovav because everyone's learning from him in some way. Yeah, because he qualifies it, right? Yeah, I hear that read.
What does it mean kol krovav?
Well, Chaim is suggesting that he's suggesting based on both the concept of krovav, but primarily from the fact that he says here he specifies ve'ein echad mehem melamed es chavero. So that implies that the chacham in the beginning of this paragraph is someone who does teach everybody, and that therefore they are his krovim, that they have a relationship with him. I mean, that's a good read. I just want to check. I just want to see if Kafach, or if actually before I get up, I just want to see if any of the Mefarshim comment on it, because I think Makbili quoted the Lechem Mishnah. Yeah, let's see the Lechem Mishnah here. Where are we here? This is not. It's the Bohak.
So trying to think about the Talei Chacham, who are not actually, who is not this specific Chacham. If they had taught each other, even if they're equal, they would tear. Like Naz Minhag would be halacha.
Yeah, it sounds like it, right?
Where
are we? Test, and then this is good. Aleph, Lechem Mishnah.
What's this Lechem Mishnah? On what?
On Test Yud Aleph. I'm just going to read the whole thing, even though I don't know how much of the. Ooh, that's a long whole thing. All right, let me see if he has one. All right, let me start off with this last one. No, I should start with the first one. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to start reading the whole thing. Okay. Hakol korein ad shemagalim es libam. Hatur kasab b'simin shin mem v'zeh lashon al rabo shalamdu chachma afilu lo heir einav ela b'mishna achas v'al hachaverim shalomdim shmus zeh mizeh korea v'einam achet kekera shal avi v'ima. So that's consistent with the Rambam, that the Torah says on a Rav who you did not learn Chachma from, who you only learn a little Chachma from, or on your friends who you learn a little bit from. So then you tear the same way you do for your mother and father. That's consistent with the Rambam's first sentence in that paragraph 10. The Rambam zal kasav shedom el avi ul'imo shekuriya la'olam kishishmu aval hu misache. The Rambam zal dime also od la'avi v'imo shekuriya aj megala es libo v'lon es libo. Fine. So this is a separate issue here of how similar is it to your mom and dad? Is it that you just don't repair the tear? Or is it that you tear to your heart? We're not really interested in this maflogos though. We want to see. Okay, near Shehavin Midivre Rabbeinu b'mash kazav kan al chacham kria aj megales libo tuadin l'Rav Muvhak v'afilo lo heir einav ela b'mishna achas v'zetema debehedia kazav Rabbeinu b'perek hey Hilchos Talmud Torah b'mei Rav Muvhak v'al im lamen mino chachmasa harzid tamid chaver chulei v'al umim milfanav kria alav kishu kria al hamesim. Mashma the eno tzarich likro ad shegala es libo. Hold on just a second. Valkain. Okay, so he's raising the same contradiction that we noticed. Valkain tzarich lomar ladas Rabbeinu deshani chacham dahacha havim befursam umuchzak afay pi shelo yihi rabo korim alav ad shemagalim es liban. But she'eno chacham befursam umuchzak v'hora az vade kevin she'eno rabo muvhak eno koreh alav ela kshar mesim. So that's like what you said. Right, that basically even though he only calls him a chacham in Hilchos Evel, the implication is that he's like a chacham who somehow has a relationship with people in terms of hora'ah, and therefore you tear until your heart. But then in Talmud Torah, when he was talking about a non-Rav Muvhak, that is just like any person, and you don't tear until you reveal your heart. Yeah, what were you gonna say, Yosef?
I like reading the next book. Like one of the help conferences.
The next one in Evel?
Yeah.
Kol hakorim al chacham shemes kemen shechziro pneihem me'achorei hamita sholalim birli shekorea al chacham achem lamachar. Okay, fine. So let me go back again. So all the tears that you do on the chacham, once they turn their head, their faces from what's the fancy word for this? Is it beer?
I think so.
A movable frame on which a coffin or corpse is placed before. Yeah. Okay, so it's a beer.
I guess it wasn't what I was thinking it was.
Well, let's finish reading anyway, because he does talk about Rav there. So once they turn the faces from the beer, sholalim. What does sholalim mean here? Is that the does that mean like you can put your arm back in the thing?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna cheat. I mean, I know sholol means to negate, but I doubt that's what it means here, unless it means like to undo the outie arm posture. Let's see, 9, 11, 12. I mean, sew it irregularly. Shololin. Okay, fine. So I'm gonna take them at face value there. I mean, you can't like make it nice. You can like sew it up a little bit. Virally, like functional switching. Virally, it seems to me shakorea al hachacham, that someone who tears on a chacham can sew it up the next day. Like that's sewing it up properly. Shafilu rabo shemes, because even if his rav dies, inumis abul lav eliyom echad bilvad. He only does avelus for him for one day. O yom misa, o yom shmua, either the day of the death or the day he heard it. It also seems to me shafilu hakorea al hanasi kyotabo shola lamachar. You can sew it irregularly the next day. Alpha pish eno ma'achel olam, even though you can never sew it up forever.
Question.
Yeah.
By a regular like Charov, are you not allowed to sew it up the next day?
Only
Like, are you like 7 days?
What do you say, Chaim?
You're allowed to fix it up from the except from the mother and father.
Okay, Chaim says you're allowed to fix it up after Shiva except for the mother and father.
Oh, but not for
Not
7 days.
I know.
Yeah, he's not sure about the regular program. Yeah, let's look at the first halacha, test Aleph. Says kol hakarayim shakray adam ashar krovav sholol hakera la'achar shiva. So you can do it irregular stitching after a shiva. Uma'ache la'achar shloshim, and you can sew it up properly after shloshim. Now avi valimo, but on your father and mother, sholol la'achar shloshim, you can sew it irregularly after shloshim. Ve'ino ma'ache lolam, you can never sew it properly. Yeah. Okay, so we got what we came here to get, right? So what we came here to get was what is the procedure for tearing kria on a regular chacham who did not teach you anything in Hilchos Talmud Torah hey test, and that is that you I just forgot that you tear without megalias libo. You just tear like a beged outside, and let's see if now the makbili makes sense. Which is it? I just want to bring with the chain of thought. You just tear the beged elyon. Umuduber b'shah talmid gam hu chacham, and this is talking about when the talmid is also a chacham. So this part we did not get enlightenment on yet. About im hatalmid eno chacham sarich likroa al rabo kmo al aviv al imo. Yeah, what was he saying now?
He's saying that I was on the second half of that. And with knowing
right.
But if you're not a chacham, you're not on the same level.
Right. If you're not shopping.
Yeah. Like the first half of that.
Right. Then you treat him right. Okay, I see. Then you treat him like a rav. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yes.
I don't think you could just be that because what they're all in your bed, he's saying kal v'chomer for rav what's a chacham. She was a chacham must be greater than a rav.
The kal v'chomer is about a different point, right? The kal v'chomer is about the sewing it up.
So either way, that has to mean the chacham is more chamor than the rav.
I don't think so. Kol hakorin al chacham shemeis kivin sheyachzir pneim sholalim yirli shakorei al chacham me'acha lamachar.
Oh wait, never mind.
Yeah,
I was misreading that. It was a kal v'chomer, but like a different direction.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to Talmud Torah though. Okay, so just going back at the part that we hold on. So Rambam Bekius shalom min rov chachmaso. Okay, so obviously one of the questions is going to be, what does it mean shalom min rov chachmaso, right? How do you quantify your chachma, right? And I don't think the Rambam gives us much more to work with than that. The only thing we have is the opposite, which is the opposite end of the spectrum. Afilu lo lamed mimeno ela davar echad. So we have, if you did not learn anything, so then that would be let's call that a pure Talmud Chaver, right?
Wait, not learn anything
if you don't learn anything, then you're a pure Talmud Chaver. If you learn one thing, then you're considered to be a Rav. And if you learn the Rav Chachmas, then you're considered Rav Muvhak, right?
Do you do anything so you learn nothing from?
Well, I'm inferring that from the afilu l'lamad mimenu ela davar echad bein katav ben gadol omid al milfan of a kria alav, but then the next category is, or there's something below that, which is if you didn't learn anything from him, that would just be a talmid chacham chachamim shediosav mechuvanos. So for him, even says af pishlo long min klum, you still don't speak in front of him if he's greater in chachma. And that's going to be the subject of the next perek, which is people who you give kavod to, even though you didn't learn anything from them. Yeah. So what's the rov chachmaso thing? So here, even though the Rambam doesn't elaborate on it, Oren was really the one who asked that we go into the practical halachos of this. So even though he's not here, I don't know what his schedule was like this semester, but I do think we should at least see if anyone addresses that really quickly. Oh, sorry, we're not in the right place. I just want to see if the Nosa Kalim address it. Let's see. Yud. Oh no, this is still in test, but in the bad numbering of test. Let's see, Rov Chachmaso. So we don't. Oh, all right. So we don't have anything from the Lechem Mishnah, anything from the Kesef Mishnah. Going once. No. So we may have no choice, but I want to read the one place I know that does talk about it is the tour. So let's just look at the tour really quickly, and then we can decide how far to go from there. I don't know where it is yet. I'll tell you in a moment. Tour. Oops, sorry, that's not the tour. This is the tour. Wait, I want not the wrong one. I want the tour. Tour. Yora. Yeah, this is the one I was thinking of. So this is the tour in סימן Reish. Oh no. What happened? Oh, there we go. Tour in Reish Mem Beis Lamed. In Yora, yeah. Thank you. So he says like this. So this is like the equivalent of his in the Rambam. So he just went through all the kavod stuff. And then he says, now I don't know if this is a machlokas between the Torah and the Rambam, but he says, im mikra, im mishnah, im Talmud. So he says it's subject specific. Okay. So actually there's two ways to read this. Does it mean subject specific, or does it mean it doesn't matter what kind of chachma? Let's say like the majority of your, let's say you've only learned Mishnah. Let's say you're 10 years old, right? Let's say you're 14. You've only learned Mishnah for 4 years, and you turn 15 and you learn one day of Gemara, right? So rov chachmaso is from your Mishnah Rebbe, right? That's what it sounds like he's saying. Aval im lo lamad rov chachmaso mimenu, if he did not learn the rov chachma from him, harizik talmid chaver, minu chayv l'chabdo b'chol advarim aval omil milfadav mishiagil la'arba amos v'kria alav v'inam achal olam or inam achal olam kamo al Rav Muvhak. Oh, all right. So that seems to be a machlokas with the Rambam then. Because the Rambam says that you the nasi you're not ma'achal olam, and Rav Muvhak not, but talmid chaver he says that you can. Yeah. All right. But I want to see one more thing also. The Arukh HaShulchan.
What does he say? Kimo Rambam Muvhak?
He does say Kimo al Rambam Muvhak.
Who's he saying is Kimo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Muvhak.
So Arukh HaShulchan.
Yeah. Same סימן, and then this is hold on. Oh, hold on, just 1 second. I don't know where it is yet. Oh. Oh, here we go. Yotes. Uman nikro Rambam Muvhak. This is Arukh HaShulchan. Kasav Rambam Shalamad Rov Chachamason Himenu. V'chein b'bava mציעא. Upirs Rashi Sham im mikra im mishnah akan lashon. So that's where the Torah got it from, presumably Rashi. Aval haravid zal pirish rov kol chachma v'chachma. So the Ravid says the majority of each and every chachma. So that's the shita I was thinking of. I think, meaning the Ravid saying that is Rov Chachma within each area of Chachma. So in other words, seemingly now, there's a machlokes whether Rov Chachmaso is the majority of your overall Chachma versus Rov Chachma in each and every subject. V'chein mashma biyushami she'omer kol sherov Chachmaso mimeno ayin sham. So that v'chein biyushami seems to be just mashma on the basic definition, right? Not on the specific Ravid. Kol sherov Talmudo mimeno. V'chein nira lahadya das Rambam. Chen Barashi, Nuchal Farish Kain, Klamar, Imikra Mikra Kule, Shimi Kol Dvar Torah, Hain Mikra, Hain Mishnah, Hain Talmud, Tarshi Hey Rov Chachamaso Mimeno. Now I'm confused. Is that saying a different one that you need the majority within each subject from that Rav? Im mikra mikol davar Torah hein mikra hein Mishnah hein Talmud sarshi he rov chachmas mimeno.
I think it is in general. I don't even understand the one.
Is it? Oh, he's just trying to read that into the Rashi.
Yeah.
What's the Gemara?
Yeah, we'll look at the Gemara in a second. Well, actually, this is
from any non which is Mishnah Talmud. In a Chachma from him.
Right. But is it any or all? Mikol davar Torah. Yeah, that's the easier read. Okay, then let's just finish this up, and then I do want to look at the Gemara and the Rashi in context. Mikol makom yachal lios lo kama Rav Rabbani Muvhakim. So that's the one I was thinking of. He says you can have multiple Rav Muvhaks. Now I realize the Rambam doesn't say that. Shezeh hemido Bekius, v'zeh b'charifus, v'zeh basugi shemaita ali b'hilchos. This guy is the one who established you in Bekius. This guy is the one who established you in sharpness, right?
No.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, right. We'll go back and assess after I finish this. This guy was your Rav in Psal Halacha. Kamosh Mitzim B'Shas Rabbi Meir Lamed Etel Rabbi Yishmael Rabbi Akiva. Rav Yehuda Lamed Etel Rav Shmuel. V'Abaye v'Rava Lamdu Etel Rabba v'Rav Yosef. V'Kulam Dinam Karabba Muvhak. Right. So that's saying that you can have multiple Rav Muvhaks. So let's really quickly look at the Gemara. This is Bava Mציעא Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph. And Amar Ula, Talmid Chachamim shebeBavel Omdin Zeh Mipnei Zeh, according to Zeh. So the Talmid Chachamim in Bavel would stand for each other and would tear for each other. Ulina Naveda bimkom Aviv. But if there's that whole competition of lost objects between this person and your father, Einan Chosrin Ela LaRav Muvhak. They only return it first to the Rav Muvhak. Okay, so that was a source for the fact that all the Dinei Kavod applied only to the Rav Muvhak. But let's see, is there a Rashi that said, let's see what that Rashi said. Rashi, Rav Muvhak Shrov Chachmasa Mimenu Kiri. I don't know if he's referring to in the Gemara. Yeah. Maybe.
Rabbi Yehuda.
Yeah, Rabbi Yehuda. Hi, Aviv Rabbi Nosim Masay Tanar Rabbanon Rabo Sha'amru Rabo Shalim Do Chachma Lo Rabo Shalim Do Mikra Mishnah. Oh, so that's interesting. Okay, let's go. Yeah, here we go. All right, so this is where the source really starts. Hi, Aviv Rabbi Nosim Masay. So this is what we read in the Rambam. If your father and Rav are struggling with the burden, Tanar Rabbanon is Tanar Brasa. Rabo Sha'amru, the Rav that was mentioned in that Mishnah, Rabo Shalim Do Chachma. That's your Rav who taught you Chachma, V'lo Rabo Shalim Do Mikra Mishnah. Not your Rav who taught you Mikra Mishnah, meaning Chachma, presumably that is Gemara, right? Let's see if Rashi says that explicitly. Shalom do Chachma, Rashi, Svaras Tameh Mishnah, Ulhavin Shlo Yehu Sosro Zozo, V'tameh Isser V'heter V'chiyu V'pater V'hu Nikra Gemara, right? So that's the explanations of the reasons for the Mishnah and understanding them so that they don't contradict each other, and the reason for Isser and Heter and Chiv and Pater, that's called Gemara, okay? Not Mikra, which is Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim, or Mishnah, K'moshein Shnuyos, as they are taught, V'enan Ta'aman Mefurish Ben, and the reasons are not taught in them. Okay, so that's Divrei Rabbi Meir. That's Rabbi Meir Shita. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yehuda says, Kol sherov chachmas mimeno. Anyone whose majority of chachma is from him. Rashi, Kol sherov chachmas mimeno im mikra, im mishnah, im gemara. So that's whether mikra, mishnah, or gemara. And then Rabbi Yossi Omer, afilu lo hi'ir einav ela b'mishnah achas zehu rabo. Even if he only enlightened his eyes, Rashi shehodio ta'am mishnah achas shlo yuchal lahavin. Now that's interesting. Enlightened his eyes means taught him Gemara on one mishnah. That he taught him the reason for one mishnah that he was not able to understand. So then that's the rov. So three-way machlokas. Is it anyone who teaches you Gemara? Is it rov chachmaso, regardless of subject, not in every subject, not subject specific, but regardless of subject, seemingly? Or is it chachma, any chachma, but not rov? Yeah. And then that's why Rashi later on, when we said Ula statement about the Aveda, he was saying that's like Rabbi Yehuda, not like Rabbi Yossi. When he said kria, that's rov chachmaso. Yeah. So what it sounds like the Rambam is doing is it sounds like the Rambam is poskening like Rabbi Yossi with regards to kria, Ach Megalanes Libo. Ach Megalanes Libo, right? Because that's anyone who taught you something. Interesting. But so and I think this reads better. So it's interesting. So back in that Shulchan we just read, then he said that so he quoted Rashi, which means it doesn't matter what subject. The Ravid says kol chachma v'chachma, which I think means in all subjects. And then he says you could read Rashi that way, in all subjects, not whether, but and then separate point that the Aruch Shulchan makes is he says that you can have multiple Rav Muvhaks, but he doesn't even seem to think that that's a machlokas rishonim. He just seems to say that that's like, it's funny, he only gives examples he doesn't give examples in Mishnah and Mikra though, but so he's like trying to sidestep that issue. But yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so hopefully that satisfies Oren, but presumably he'll listen to this and he'll tell us if he has more questions and we'll take it more. But from the Rambam, it's unclear because he doesn't even mention subjects. And Rambam, his derech is not to call Gemara Chachma Stam, right? Like that he calls Talmud, like Rov Talmudo. I mean, I know he uses the lashon of the Shas, but
when they say Gemara, do they? Does Rashi mean Gemaras in the Shas have like?
No, he doesn't mean like Talmud Bavli. He means explanations of the Mishnah.
Like this wrong when he says Talmud. Does he mean like Talmud Bavli or?
No, he means any maybe Davar Mitok Davar that stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. So here's what I was. So what would you say Rov means? How do you measure Rov? I mean, I have a yeah.
No.
I mean, because the difficult, okay, like, I think there is an intuitive sense of like who your main Rebbe is, but the thing is that doesn't quite square up with the definition of Rov. Like let's say you were in, let's say, whatever, let's say like you're in, I don't know, in YU in the olden days and someone shiur for like, 4 years, and then you finally work your way up to the Rav shiur, and like you're in the Rav shiur for a year. You would call the Rav your main Rav, even though you quantitatively learn more from the lower one, I think, So like that's the tension here. Is it like your main Rav who, like is that what it means, or does it mean quantitatively? And it's not like it feels inelegant to say it's quantitatively, but then why does it use the word Rav?
I just think quantitative, like Muvhak it's the one who. I guess it's defined by like the one who shined to you, the one who caused you to shine. That just even like even if you would want to be more attached to Rav, just he factually just did not shine.
I mean, what you're saying is in line with again. I don't know if this is current, but like last time I asked Rav Pesach this question, he said the way he defined it, and I don't remember if he was quoting someone specific, but he said it's the Rav who is responsible for your current level of development in Chachma. So what was that? That's not quantitative. It's more like what Yosef was saying, or it's more like what I was saying, where rove does not mean quantity, but it means like, what it reminds me of actually? Hold on. I'll support this. I'm supporting this b'derech drush, not in.
Is this a source?
Yeah, this is a source. I'm not saying this like bringing a raya. Okay, so just don't misunderstand me here. This reminds me of in Hilchos Tshuva Gimel, when he's talking about Zechuyos and Avonos, Gimel. Where is it? Bays. Oh, hold on just a second. Sorry. It's reminding me of this phenomenon, but he doesn't use the word rove here. Where am I thinking of? I'm thinking in Tshuva. Sorry, hold on. I'm kind of combining two sources. Tshuva. Huh. Or maybe I'm thinking of this one. Yeah, I guess I was thinking of that source. When the Rambam was talking about Zechuyos and Avonos, and he says how God weighs them. So he'd been using quantitative terms, right? Adam she'avonosav merubin al Zechuyos miyad hu meis berisho shnemar al rov avonech, right? Rov here you would think means the quantity on the multitude of your sins. And same thing, you think he's speaking quantitatively, but then he clarifies, it's not based on the number of zechuyos and avonos that they're weighed, but their magnitude, so like rove in the sense of like, greatness. Yeah.
Yeah. This is sort of cheesy, like maybe it just means the quantity of years is a bad thing to think about, like. But let's just say I know. So what do you just think of? I guess like you're saying, just like think about learning work. It doesn't matter if you move to the road shiur, if you
see. I think another reason why I object to that is because if it were quantity of years, then I think you would say, like that's like a different actual calculus.
I'm saying not quantity of years, like say the way you think about things.
Yeah, so that's like what Rav Pesach was saying. Yeah, okay. Yeah, fine.
I was wondering why you only one guy, and then you're in the wrong, but you're in the wrong, different level, and then the wrong. Right,
exactly. Yeah. That's how Rav Pesach defined it. Yeah, I have to ask Rav Pesach if that was based on any. How do you determine that?
Yeah.
So that I think like is a question that you assess on your own. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's a good question. Right. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I also got to see if there's any hidden Rambam tshuvos on this, right? We found that last time, but yeah. Okay, let's move on for now, and I'll try to take a look and see. I haven't looked at Kafak's footnotes yet. Maybe he'll bring in other stuff. Let's go on though. All right, so we did the Avelo stuff. Oh, so here's a question that I have. Okay, and this is more of a writing or a codification question. Why does the Rambam only qualify all of this now? It's a really unclear way to. I mean, it's not unclear. Like, I feel like, given the fact that the whole next perek is about Amrin Chachamim in general, right, and that's really where he introduces the mitzvah, and then here, he like starts off with this grand comparison between your Rav and your father, and then goes through all these halachos, like, yeah, like again, just to compare it, like the way that the I don't know if you noticed when I was flipping through the Arukh HaShulchan, all these other instances of the word Muvhak in Arukh HaShulchan had to do with the sugya of paskening without your Rav's permission. That's clearly Rav Muvhak. It's not like if
Right.
a Talmud teaches you a halacha, then suddenly you can't posting without that Talmud's permission, So like, and I also think that just, when you're writing, then a bamei devarim amurim is like feasible or understandable when it is qualifying what immediately comes beforehand. But we have a bamei devarim amurim qualifying 8 paragraphs. It's just like, I don't know, it's weird. And I don't even know if it's a legitimate question. It's just always like, the very fact that I had to keep on saying this as we learn through all those halachos makes me think like, well, why doesn't the Rambam say it earlier? I don't know if there's a way to answer that. Okay. Okay. So then we had this thing here. I want to go back to, yeah.
Could be that maybe just the sort of instance apply to all Ravs, but like the Rambam Muvhak is the only real Rav. As in to say that, I guess in theory, all this stuff before is really meant for all Ravs, and the Rambam Muvhak is really the only real.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. Meaning like conceptually, then it's not like conceptually all of this only applies to your Rav Muvhak. Conceptually, it applies to your Rav, but like the one who embodies that is your Rav Muvhak. Yeah. I mean, I think.
I'm not following that.
Okay, well, I'll
Saying Rav Muvhak is the one that's saying that it's the one.
well, no, let me I'll try to support it with the Rambam that like when he says that like your father brings you into this world and your Rav who teaches you chachma brings you into olam haba, or when he says that arguing about with your Rav is like arguing with the Shekhinah. Conceptually, like we have certain ideas. Okay, here's an analogy. Okay, let's say like srara, like authority. So there's hierarchies of srara in Jewish society, and then there's the melech, right? So there are certain things that pertain to the king as the highest authority in the land, and then there's certain things that apply to the king, like davka, like qua king, as the king himself. So with your Rav, like it's not like there is, how do I say it? Yeah.
Like it's not like your Rav Muvhak is a better Rav. It's like everyone else is just the worst Rav. Like
that. Now I don't understand what you're saying. Sorry, I thought I understood.
There's like it's like every, I guess, default idea of Rav.
Yeah.
It's not that your Rav Muvhak is, I guess, your default idea of Rav plus isn't like a super Rav. It's all the other Ravs.
What is it default idea of Rav that you're saying? That's what I'm not following.
What is the what idea?
You're following the idea of Rav that Rav Muvhak is not following. What is that?
I'm saying where the default Rav is the
What does that
Rav.
mean?
Okay, no, I understood you differently. Also, I'll give you another analogy. Okay, when we did the Rambam and Sefer Mitzvahs on this, he said that the mitzvah is like to honor Chachamim, but there's like a specification for your Rav Muvhak, right? So when you honor your Rav Muvhak, there's no category in Judaism of like per se of honoring your Rav Muvhak. That's a subdivision within honoring Chachamim, right? Okay, so what I thought Yosef was saying is within the realm of like people who are your Rav, then there's 2 ways to conceptualize who your Rav Muvhak is, and then that's where I'm breaking down. But like. So that's what I was trying to work out. That I gotta think about it. Let me just think about it for a second. And it might have to contrast it with, let's say, like there is only one. You only have one father or one mother. Like that's not like a representative of a larger category. See, this is the interesting thing also. This is not related, but I'm going to say it because it went into my mind just now. That when we say that your Rav brought you into Olam Haba, so like, let's say you are 15 and you have a Rav. So that Rav brought you into Olam Haba. Now let's say like 15 years later when you're 30 and you've been learning under a different Rav, and that's your Rav Muvhak now, that Rav brings you into Olam Haba. But what happened to the previous Rav? Like, does the history of that Rav Muvhak identity become erased? Like, is there a like Highlander rule, like there can only be one? Like, like, because that's why I was toying with this idea that there is like a one of your teachers is going to be the one who you represent as the one who is your interface with the Shekhinah, and like that can move around, and there does seem to be an idea of that in this mitzvah. But then on the other hand, there also seems to be an idea of like historically, who did you gain the most of your chachma from, or who brought you into Olam Haba, and there's a tension between those two ideas, I think.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to say, and I don't know on which direction I was going, but I think I was trying to say that like essentially this is an idea in honoring your teachers. I'll just say it plural for clarity. The only thing is that the full form of this type of kavod is only going to express itself. Is only going to be fully expressed with one person at a time. That's a different model than saying like you have to show greater honor to the king than anyone else. And right. That's not an idea in honoring, like when you honor the king, you're not honoring all authorities and then just like representing it with the king. No, you're giving honor to the melech, So here too, here's the opposite is you're really giving honor to ravs, and it just expresses itself fully with your Rav, and lesser with people who taught you one thing, and even less with the Talmid Chaver.
Right.
Yeah. Let's leave that as like in draft form, just as we go on, because my guess also is once we do the halachos about honoring other chachamim, since that is the main mitzvah, then that might shed a different light on this also.
Right.
Okay. Going back to the end of that last paragraph with test 3. Where the editor is divided into new halacha. So he started So this is an interesting thing, by the way. This is not the paradigm that we have in Western society of honoring teachers. And this is like a unique, I don't know about unique, but it's different in Judaism. Like in Western society, there is an idea of honoring your teacher, or not even just Western, but like there's an idea of honoring your teacher, but teacher is defined by like the fact that is their role, not the fact that you gained even one thing, like this is my mentor, for example, like people honor their mentors, people don't typically say, well, I learned one thing from this person and therefore I'm going to show them honor and I'll stand in front of them, that's an interesting thing. Yeah. Well, do we get that from the Rambam, or we just got that from the, based on right. Meaning he's just wait, based on the last part of test 3 or test 2? Test 2. Right. That's a Talmud cover. Well, here's the thing also, you got to remember that Talmud does not necessarily mean that he's a Chacham though. Right?
I think
like Talmud means a student.
Yes. So similarly, the question is like, is it just the, let's say I know you as a Rav shiur give a good svar. Does that mean he now has to stand before you?
Right. No, I mean he does.
Yeah, because he learned one thing.
Right. Presumably.
No, I thought you were thinking one saying that
right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and Rav Muvhak definitely holds that. Right. Yeah, I guess so. Right, but yeah, that's why in the end of this perek, he does talk about the Rav's chiyuv to honor his talmidim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. which I guess we'll get to tomorrow. But with Yud, what's this Yud doing? V'chol tamid chachamim shedeosav mechuvanos einu medaber bifnei mishu gadol mimenu b'chachma afa pi shelo laman mimenu klum. I feel like I'm misunderstanding how to read the sentence. Like, is he saying if I am a Talmid Chachamim whose deos are mechuvan, then I should not speak before someone who's greater than me? Or is he saying that I should not speak before a Chacham who's greater than me, whose deos are mechuvanos?
I read it the first way.
I read it the first way because I think syntax wise, that's how you would read it. Whole Talmid Chachamim shedeos are mechuvanos, meaning that's who we're talking to.
Right.
That what we say to that person is Eino medaber bifnei mishu gadol mimenu b'chachma. But then why would we limit that to a Talmid Chachamim whose deos are mechuvanos? Doesn't this apply to all Talmidim? That's what makes me want to read it the other way. That you, no matter who you are, should not speak before someone who's greater than you in Chachma, provided that that person is a Talmid whose deos are mechuvanos.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. I mean, I don't really.
Yeah, right. Right. It wouldn't make sense the other way.
I mean, then you're also saying that if you read it the other way, then it's not better than the one in fact.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe read that. It says maybe this is talking about, like, I guess the great you. I guess you're the Talmud Chacham and that's Mechum, and so is, and the person who's greater than you is in the room. Like, I guess somebody asks a question, like, even though you have no question, you can't say it because then you'd be sort of stealing his place as the person who needs to be respected.
I don't know. I don't see where you're getting that from.
Maybe that's why it's just funny. Maybe that you're doing talking about Mechum, and that you understand the answer, the idea. Okay, fine. I guess.
I don't know. The only way to read it the other way, Chaim, is that he's making this into that he is introducing this as a principle in Deos.
Oh.
You know, like a Chacham whose Deos are good will not speak in front of someone in kavod. Yeah, right. That's possible. Like, it's almost like a descriptive statement. He does not speak in front of someone whose Chacham is greater than him. So in other words, this is not a halacha. This is not a, like, you're not violating Hilchos Talmud Torah if you speak in front of someone whose Chacham is greater, but it is not good deos for Talmid Chacham to have. Yeah. The only question would be, why doesn't he not? He had a whole perek about the deos of Talmid Chacham. Why doesn't he put this there? Yeah.
Maybe
it's a weird place to put it in general. Yeah, it is. It's just, I don't know. It does not connect to kria, right?
Maybe it's clarify that if you just learn one thing from the man, you might think that, it could just be he happened to be the one that responded to me, like he's not the most important one there. And that's just like, so therefore the fact that one thing doesn't mean anything because there was better people in the room who could have done it.
But you were talking about even if you didn't learn from them.
Yeah.
What? No, it says a filo mamu eladavar.
No. We've been in the next halacha. Yeah. Afal pi shelo laman mimenu klum.
No, I think he's saying the Talmud Chachamim should Talmud Chachamim, even though he did not learn from from the great person who answered you, he still will respect him not saying anything. Therefore, meaning that if the person who answered you, you know he's the most important person in the room.
I don't know where you're getting that from. I
try to use that as a scripture to connect to the first part. As a reason for the first part.
As a reason for afilu l'lamim
yeah. I was saying the Talmud Chacham should know Talmud Chacham. He did not learn anything from the person who answered you, who you're respecting.
Oh, what? It's a hard read. I mean, I see why you want to explain this because it's in the same paragraph, But I think it's putting too much weight on the scenario that you're concocting in your mind.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I got to stop here because I got a tutor. All right, so to be continued. So yeah.